I'm still jet lagged because I attend in the ICP Congress in Prague for 2 weeks and just arrived in 30 July, and after that I had to lead the HIMSI Extraordinary Congress until yesterday afternoon. So I will present an article entitled The Impact of General Election on Changes in Political Culture and Mental Health of Indonesian people or Indonesian society. As is known, election are indicator for the democratization for all country. So a review of election is an important thing to study. So moreover, the election in Indonesia, which is held every 5 years, certainly has a significant impact on human behavior. For your information and political psychology, the most frequently conducted study is of a country's leaders who are chosen through an election process. The year of 2024 for Indonesia is called a political years because there's two very large political activities. First, in 2024, in general election will be held on the same day to elect president and vice president candidates, legislative candidate to all levels at the People Representative Council, at the central, at the provincial, regency, and city levels, and also regional representative council or senator. At the end of 2024, this regional head election will also be held to governor and deputy governor candidates in 38 province and region, deputy region, and mayor and deputy mayor in 504 regencies or cities in Indonesia. So the many political activities in 2024 on the one hand are an important part of determining the future of the nation and state, because it is hoped that quality state leaders will be obtained at the executive and legislative level. But on the other hand, there will be an impact of various changes in political culture and mental health problem in society. Okay, the number of domestic voters spread across 38 provinces is more than 200 million. So on domestic voters, have a domestic voter and overseas voter. So a domestic voter, the number of female voters is greater than male voters. The number of voters of overseas voters, the same result. The difference of number of female voters is around 250,000 more than male voter. And total national recapitulation is more than 204 million. So I think it's very hard to General Election Commission to manage this. And young voter is dominant as participant in 2024 election, especially Z generation. Z generation is currently a new voter. Voter in 2024 election from Generation Z and millennial is 55%. It's more than 50% of voters is come from Z generation and millennial. So far, Generation Z generation have been given a lot of political stigma and tends to be distant from practical politics because politics is perceived as bad, is evil. So, however, if you look at their influence on social media, Z generation will be, I think, is more than voter must be taken into account. So the political behavior of young voter in 2024 is predicted is changed significantly. Based on research of Compass.com, which found that Gen Z, the 17 until 20 years old age group, tend not to want abstain or not vote. The number of Gen Z who consciously do not want to participate in election is only 0.6%. So, so more and more young voters are enthusiastic about participating in legislative election and the presidential election in last two elections. Research from Center of Strategic and International Studies in 2022 found that in 2014 election is more than 55% admitted voting at the polling station. Then in 2019, there was increased the number of voters to 91.31 who participate in this election. So, what are crucial issues according to the Z generation? So, the interesting about Z generation is their concern for crucial issues that are expected to be resolved by president or legislative candidates. A survey on crucial issues of concern, presidential and vice presidential candidate was conducted by the Detik.com team in the period from 20 until 24 June 2023. The result is Gen Z want to future leader of the country to be able to resolve various important issues. The most important issues are ability to create job or reduce unemployment, control the price of basic and eradicate corruption massively. So, what the impact of the election? So, based on various studies, there are several impacts of the election. First, a sense of uncertainty and anxiety. Intense election campaign and political rhetoric can create a sense of uncertainty and anxiety. Competition between candidates and the spread of conflicting message can cause confusion and doubt among voters. This uncertainty can increase the level of stress and emotional burden experienced by individuals during the election period. The second is polarization. Polarization in society during election can have a profound psychological impact. The conflict between different political groups can create an environment full of disharmony and enemies. This can increasing the tension and hostility that exists in society. So this polarity can also lead to the formation of confirmation bias, where individuals are more likely to seek and believe information that is in line with their previous belief and values. Third, voters using emotion rather than rationality. The emotional appeal and charisma of candidate can influence the decision-making process to choose candidates. Emotion plays an important role in shaping individual attitude and behavior, including their voice, the choice of vote. Candidates who are able to evoke positive emotion such as hope, inspiration, or trust may gain an advantage winning voters. Fourth, bias in choosing candidates. The media way of reporting or portraying candidates can also have a psychological impact on public perception of the candidate. Bias reports can influence individual attitude toward a particular candidate or political party and can even lead to polarization and conflict among voters. And fifth, the emergence of various hoax that make misinformation. The spread of negative or false information about political opponent is usually in the form of rumors, fabricated scandals, including family background or misinterpretation of past policies or action of candidates. The purpose of fake news is to lower the image of political opponent among voters, so thereby influencing public opinion and the decision to vote for all candidates. So meanwhile, to increase a positive image, campaign teams usually create positive but inaccurate information about a candidate. For example, false stories about personal achievement, misleading statistics about performance, or manipulation of image and video. The goal is to create an ideal and often unrealistic image of the candidate, so that it positively influence public perception. So the survey conducted by Litbang Kompas in 2022 showed that more than 56% of respondents expressed concern about the polarization caused by the election. This condition is influenced by traumatic events of group conflict and hate speech that still exists as the result of the previous election. A survey by APA, American Psychological Association, in 2022 showed that presidential election was a significant source of stress for 66% of Americans. This result even increased by 60% from 2016 election. Research by Fraser et al. In 2023 showed that election events correlated with post-traumatic stress caused by presidential election in the United States. Affective polarization that happen in the close environment, such as family and community, is a significant causal factor in trauma of voter. The study also stated that trauma cause not only happen in the losing group, but also in the winning group. So, one interesting is not all hoax news has a negative impact, especially on parties or candidates who were already popular. In recent years, elections in Western democracies have been preceded by the spread of online political fake news. That is, deliberately fabricated misinformation with politically charged content. However, fake news actually provide positive election results for popular candidates or parties. So, the spread of fake news before 2016 in US presidential election largely benefited to Donald Trump, whose campaign was consistently characterized by populist rhetoric. In 2017, France's presidential election, fake news was found to support National Front candidate Marine Le Pen, who reached the second round in that election. This information is also believed have supported the electoral growth of the far-right alternative in a German party in 2017 German election, which became the third most popular party. Fake news also spread before 2018 in Italian election, which produced the first populist majority in Western Europe. Michel Cantalera et al. In 2023 exposed that fake news favor populist parties regardless of prior support for populist parties. In Indonesia election 2024, it was also found that the large parties such as Partai Demokrasi Indonesia, Golkar, Gerindra, so were widely featured on various social media as undemocratic parties. Many party activists were corrupt, not pro-reform, full of money politics. However, the parties that were given the label or stigma remain the parties that dominated in voting result. So it's not a relation between fake news and voting behavior. Next, about how many? 5 minutes? Okay. Yeah. So, what the changing of political culture? First is increasing awareness of political election. During the 3 elections in Indonesia in 2014, 2019, and 2024, there has been an increase in the number of voters who came to ballot box to exercise their right to vote, and decrease in people who did not vote. In 3 election period, in 2014 until 2024, there's been increasing the number of voters who came to ballot. This saw an increasing political culture in society, especially determine future leaders. Second is, more candidate information is obtained from social media than direct campaigns. The number of social media users in Indonesia has increasing after the COVID-19 pandemic, so that many activities using social media. So in 2024 election, public participation is more also participating in online debates and searching for candidates' track records through social media. Third, decrease identity politics. So it does not cause polarization. Identity politics in 2019 election turned out to be abandoned by many voters in 2024. Candidates who previously participated in 2019 election constellation that emphasizes identity politics turned out to have collaborated with opponents during the 2019 election. Four, intervention from politics incumbent. Incumbent plays a greater role and has an impact to community leader. So incumbent support for one of presidential candidate has a significant impact on increasing vote. And fifth, increasing legal awareness to resolve political difference or political conflict. Issues in 2024 election are mostly resolved in court rather than through conflict between groups in street or demonstration. So the public submit election issues or cases through legal channel. This is indicator of public legal awareness in effort to resolve election conflict. Okay, I go to politics and mental health. So on the mental health impact of the election is election stress disorder. Election stress disorder is one of the symptoms of mental disorder that appear during election. His mental disorder is anxiety that happen before, during, and after election. So election stress disorder is not an official medical diagnosis. However, that does not mean that people cannot experience extreme stress when facing an election even. This term was first introduced by psychologist Stephen Stosny, PhD, in 2016. The symptoms often happen in legislative candidates or their supporter because they have spent excessive cost, energy, thought, and time, but the results are not comparable to the expected result. Election-related stress can also happen when you worry about missing out on the latest news and when you may start checking your phone frequently for news about election result all of the time. The losing group tends to experience mental health disorder. Losing an election causes disappointment and anxiety about being rejected by one community, feeling marginalization, and in election can be for a long time and cause most severe mental disorder. So, an observational study on mental health and election conducted by Mental Health Care Community Caucus stated that prevalence of moderate severe anxiety reached 60% and depression is 17% after 2024 election. So the the last slide is so what psychologists do to this phenomena. First is psychological services of mental health based on hierarchy of psychological services. The real and most important psychological service is increasing self-care. Self-care is carried by increasing public awareness of the importance of mental health and being able to solve one's own psychological problem. As the policy for Ministry of Health in Indonesia, which emphasis preventive and promotional intervention. At the second level of mental health services is provision of psychological first aid. HIMSI is contributed to the delivery of tele-PFA conducted by more than 2,000 volunteers. The name is Sajiwa. This hotline 119 extension 8. So this is the helpline channel. At the third and fourth levels are referral mechanism that can only be carried by psychologists. HIMSI in all regions mobilize psychologists and volunteers to intervene psychological problem individually and communities. Thank you.